Hey, Loco Golf fans, welcome back on a Sunday night, a beautiful Heritage Sunday. We got them all in, guys, even a few extra holes, as a matter of fact. A little bonus golf down at Harbor Town today, but congratulations to Matt Fitzpatrick on claiming that tartan jacket that we've been saying for, a couple years now, that he was probably going to win one of these things eventually, and he got it done today in a playoff against Jordan Spieth, who made a terrific run at being a back-to-back champ, and I don't think we've seen the last of Jordan Spieth here at Harbor Town by any means. But he had a couple chances to slam the door today and didn't get it done. And Fitzpatrick with just a phenomenal shot on the third playoff hole at 18 to set himself up for the birdie to win it. Just a terrific tournament. And I know, Wes, you took in a lot of it in person, as did Brady and Mullis. You were involved in making the show go on. So tell me your initial thoughts, I guess, about this 2023 edition of the RBC Heritage.
Well, I thought it was going to be hard to one-up what we saw last year, the instant classic between Jordan Spieth and Patrick Cantlay. But I think this one takes the cake for a variety of reasons. I think the elevated stats has a lot to do with it. We got the best and biggest field that we've ever had in this tournament. We just a up and down, tremendous lineup. And once again, living up to the hype and just an epic playoff. 3 holes, and Matt Fitzpatrick comes out on top after a very, very hard-fought extra hole session. And it got a feel for Jordan Spieth. I thought he had this one 2 or 3 times in the back 9. I thought when he birdied 13 after that beautiful shot a couple feet towards the hole, when he made birdie there, had a 2-shot lead, I just didn't see him losing it. Obviously, you give a lot of credit to Matt Fitzpatrick for clawing his way back, and certainly Jordan Spieth, as you mentioned, left the door open. After that 13 birdie, he had all the momentum, had a tough showing over there at 14. But then after that, just couldn't make that defining putt that would put him over the top. He did come back to birdie 15, 16, 17, 18. He did make a clutch putt there to help it get into a playoff, but it just didn't fall for him today. And even that's so to say that very, very proud of what he did. It is not easy at all to defend a title and to become this close to doing that. Be the first guy since Boo Weekley to win back-to-back Heritage titles, and we've only seen a few from him throughout that history. It just speaks to respect of his competitiveness and his mettle in big situations. His approach game was unbelievable. Got to a really hot stretch early, and once again that 13th hole, I thought he was going to take this one rather comfortably, but we saw Matthew Fitzpatrick dig in down the stretch, fight his way back, get into that playoff. Big birdie putt late in that round to even them up there at 17 under par. He birdied 15, he birdied 16, so a clutch putt there in a very difficult hole. And he weathered the storm down the stretch, found a way to sneak into that playoff. And then what a battle it was between those 3 playoff holes. Spieth had 2 solid looks at winning it. The first one just slipped out, and then the second one was pretty close as well on 17, but just wasn't his day. I think it's a situation where I don't think Spieth lost it, more that Matthew Fitzpatrick won it with that tremendous shot on the third hole, just a couple feet away. And I thought that was going in. I thought he was going to win it with an eagle 2 on that 18th hole, but tap in birdie to claim that elusive tartan jacket that he was searching for a while. And just a great story. I was in the Heritage Lawn watching the end. And a great crowd there to take that in. It was a big screen TV, really great setup that they were able to do that, have that, access for because obviously those 18th green was packed. You got to get there early, and it's tough to see when you get all those people in front of you. But I was watching over there on that live feed, and they showed a picture of Matt Fitzpatrick as a little boy, as a 6-year-old at our Harbor Town, and now to be where he is now. So many years later and win the thing. Just, such an emotional moment for him and for all of us golf fans here in Hilton Island.
Yeah, that's pretty special. And, we talked about that a good bit last night about the history that he has here, which is you'd expect that if he was from Cincinnati or something, not from Sheffield, England, but has that history vacationing here. And that's always a cool aspect of a lot of the champions who come through here. They have some kind of personal history here. So great to see him add this feather in his cap, and you could tell it meant a lot to him to win here. Brady Mullis, jump in here. Tell us your thoughts on what was a terrific tournament.
I mean, yeah, it was just really fun to watch Matthew Fitzpatrick eventually win it all. I mean, he was the leader coming into the final round, so pretty much just him playing his own game. I mean, he had 4 birdies today. Didn't really think a 68 would eventually be the winner here. Would have thought it would have been a lower number than that with some more birdies. But he really cleaned it up here and there and got the job done.
Butch, you said 17 for a playoff, 18 for the win, didn't you?
No, 16 and 17.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a little more weather.
I think you did say 17 and 18. Actually.
I might have. I think you did. Those guys, the two things that surprised me about Spieth today was everybody knows, I can't believe him and Cantlay were surprised on that pitch on 14.
Yeah.
That's a fast pitch. Everybody knows that. For them to get surprised by that, the green speed right there, everything drains right back there. You're straight down green, you're straight down wind. For them to run that by, I thought he carried that thing. I'll be honest with you, I thought Spieth got lucky to keep his on there. And then I thought, though, it surprised me when he made that turn into 16, how the wind affected him. He's a really good wind player. And, even throughout the playoff, I thought the wind really affected him. And, that's that to me was what stood out more than anything.
Yeah. No, you could definitely watching on TV. You saw a lot of the conversation with his caddy and just some uncertainty about yardages and carries and things like that. Like he was maybe a little
locked in all day, and as soon as he made the turn, it was you could just see the doubt come in, and then he 17.
And still, it looked like he had won it. He could not believe that putt didn't fall on
17 must not fit his eye because he never, what did he had 2 bogeys on that hole this week, or something. I can't remember. He didn't. And I'll tell you what, that first shot Fitzpatrick hit in the first round before the playoff.
Yeah, in 17.
That ball was pulled. There's no way that's where he was aiming. And not in that spot. Anybody that's left of that pin, that thing's pulled. Because, they were talking about hitting it right at the tower. All those guys hit it at the tower there.
Right.
But that was, I thought Spieth was going to make that chip on 18 like Davis Love, that tear the place down. And,
give it the old finger to the camera, finger guns.
Yeah. And that was just
funny story about that. There were a few years back, we were in the media center, and so one of the reporters in the media center, I won't name names, but I guess he wasn't really paying attention, and the sound on the TV caught his attention, and he looked up, and they're showing a replay of Davis Love III chipping in on 18, and he has no idea it's a replay. So he's watching it, and he's telling us all, look at this. But we're all clear what is happening, and he reacts like just bananas, and it was a good time. So, but before we go any deeper, we do have a special guest joining us. Brady, one of your teammates and one of the top golfers in the high school ranks here in the Loco from Lufton High School, Jones Saylor, jumping on with us. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. How's everybody doing?
Doing great. Well, you were out at the Heritage, and of course, you're aspiring to be one of these guys someday. That would be the dream, but you're a big time golfer. So tell us your thoughts about this tournament, and did you expect Fitzpatrick to be able to hold down the stretch?
It was pretty interesting. I actually followed their group the entire round, and when Jordan made that putt off the fringe on 1, I actually looked at my dad and I said he's going to win this tournament. But Fitzpatrick did what he had to do coming down the stretch to couple clutch putts, and Jordan just kind of wasn't able to get a few putts to fall, but it was a pretty good finish, really interesting to watch.
Jones, and I'm sure you know from your perspective as a golfer, how tough is it to make those putts at the end of a round in big time spots in order to find a way to qualify for something or to win a tournament? What goes into a mind of a golfer in those situations, and how do you find that mettle in order to make those big putts and big shots?
Well, I think in those moments you're just trying to figure out how to control the nerves as best you can. I mean, you could tell, especially during the playoff, like both of them when they were trying to make those putts to just try to clinch it, you could tell they would take as much time as they could, breathing as best they could. Just it's more controlling the nerves and being able to hit the best shot you can while you got so much adrenaline going through you, and that's a big thing too that they have to take into account when they're making their first shots down the stretch. Is the adrenaline adds about a club or so. So when they get in those shots and then those putts, they have to mainly control that adrenaline just to be able to hit a good shot and try to get in the hole.
I think we saw that with Fitzpatrick at times down the stretch today, where the adrenaline, he flew a couple shots really long. I know they're all okay with going long at 15 because you get relief from the stand. So you just throw it off the grandstand and take your drop and pitch it from there. But yeah, he flew a couple late and then he kind of goosed a putt too. Like he was a little jacked up.
Oh yeah, especially that the first time they played 18 in the playoff when he was on the back of the green back there. That was all adrenaline. Plus the greens are very firm this week, so that probably had a little bit to do with it as well.
3.4 million might do that to you.
Oh yeah,
you think 3.6, right? 3.6.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Higher prize money than the Masters. So
that'll get the old heart pumping.
Yes,
that playoff mattered about a little over $1 million for them, finishing first or second. So there's a lot of money on the line for them shots.
No doubt.
Jones.
I thought Spieth's putt was going down. How about you?
Oh, we were sitting back at the tee box watching on the little TVs they had back on the lawn, and everybody was getting loud and crazy when it was trekking, and then it broke off to the right at the end and lipped out, and everybody was just like, oh, man.
I was there too. I was waiting for that place to explode when Spieth made that putt, which looked like it was going to drop, just caught right off the edge and stayed out on that first playoff hole. So really unfortunate, for a lot of these fans. They're rooting for Jordan Spieth, but at the same time, I mean, what a story for Matt Fitzpatrick. Someone who was, living in this community for a little bit of time in terms of being a part of it as a kid when he used to visit the Heritage and visit Hilton Head. So, I mean, it's got to be a really special kind of feather in the cap of this tournament to have someone with like connections to this area throughout their childhood. And you're kind of the same way. I mean, sure, as a kid, you've been eyeing to eventually sometime get a chance to play in a tournament like this. So just how special is watching this RBC Heritage over the years? How has it meant to you, and how has it inspired you throughout the years to improve your skills in the course?
It's done a lot. I mean, first time I'm pretty sure I came down here was in 2009 with my dad, and we moved down here not long after that. And we've come every single year since, and it's kind of really shaped me and who I am today, and just what I live my life around, everything, how much I enjoy golf. And over the years, I've gotten to see some of the best golfers in the world just be able to play the course, and it's kind of helped me understand, and just watching them, how they play the game, how they think through shots and everything, and how they execute the shots and all that. And it's just really kind of helped me mature as a golfer, especially just through everything that they've done, and I've watched them over the years.
And how they practice. I mean, I think that's one of the most eye-opening things for young golfers is you go out there and watch them on the range, and you're like, wow, that's what it's supposed to look like when I'm hitting balls on the range, and or when I'm putting. Like you kind of see how they practice, how the sausage is made a little bit, and it can give you a blueprint.
Right, and I mean, especially when they're on the range, I mean, they're not just out there hitting golf ball after golf ball. They're basically going through a pre-shot routine, talking with their caddy like they're on the course, and just making sure that they hit the shot that they want to.
Do you have any specific memories as a kid, maybe when your first encounters with one of those PGA Tour golfers, and kind of what advice you got to hear from them, or what you how you interacted with some of those guys? Because we talked about last year, especially with Jordan Spieth signing all those autographs to his kids after he won, and I'm sure the same is going to go, for Fitzpatrick, and just the interactions. Like, tell me about some that you had throughout your childhood.
So a good one, actually, the year that Wesley Bryan won in 2017, I was standard bearer for them on Thursday, and it was Wesley, Luke List, and Annabelle Lahiri. So they started on 10, and that was on that Thursday, and obviously Wesley hit a shot in the water, his first tee shot in the water, made bogey, and then he turns around and wins the tournament. But I was walking down 6th fairway, and I was talking to Luke List, and I told him a joke, and he was like, I'm gonna have to use that one pretty later on in life. But it was kind of good interaction stuff, and just getting to hear them talk with their caddies and everything really opens your eye, and everything helps you learn more about the game and what all goes into them being able to hit a shot close to be able to score well.
I knew you had the smart wit, the jokes that the PGA Tour guys would pick up. you always got a sharp tongue on the sidelines of the basketball game. You always got a good a good barb over there. So I'm not surprised. But what's any other thoughts on today and the Heritage, and you said you followed the leaders the whole round. Did you feel like there was any turning point where Spieth kind of had the momentum coming home, and where did you feel like that momentum turned?
As y'all were talking earlier with that bogey on 14, I remember Mr. Ned, you were saying it was like that chip really ran out, and I was actually kind of back in the gallery a little bit, and I was kind of behind Jordan in the hole. And when he chipped it, he kind of caught a little thin, it seemed like, and it just kept skidding and running out on him. And when it rolled off, everybody was worried about it rolling down in the water, honestly. But when he made that bogey, and Fitzpatrick was obviously on the green with his tee shot, and I think that was kind of the turning point. But then Jordan came right back with the birdie, but then obviously Fitzpatrick went 4 and 2 and chipped up and made his birdie. But I also think
take you through that. That birdie on 16 for Fitzpatrick, I think, in my eyes, was what really turned the table. I thought, Spieth, I was still confident them holding that 1-stroke lead. I think the birdie bounce back on 15 was important, but I understand where you're coming from there, and I think it's definitely true how much of an impact that has when you really don't read that shot as well as you wanted to, and crazy iron there from Cantley as well. He had to chip one from right on the ball, landed right in the wall, against the wall, above the hazard. It was a crazy circumstance there, and he was able to save his bogey. Unfortunately, Cantley faded down the stretch. But going back to that 16th hole, that pivotal hole, leading to that Fitzpatrick birdie, what would impress you the most about his his calm, his composure, his collectiveness over those last 3 holes to get himself into that playoff?
Honestly, I wasn't really able to see much of it, but just because of the way the stands were and everything. But I think a lot of what went into that, and him being able to hold his composure, is what happened with him at the U.S. Open last year. And that shot he had on 18 out of the bunker, I think that helped him a lot, because he's been in that position before and he knows what he needs to do in close situations. And then that shot he had on 17, just kind of going after it, it really turned the point. And then obviously when he missed the putt, that was kind of hard. And then you saw later on when they played 17 in the playoff, he basically had the same putt and he expected it to break to the right a little bit more, but then he missed it to the left. But I think that birdie, that putt on 16 really kind of shifted everything definitely, and just allowed him to be able to kind of get aggressive on 17 because he had the confidence going into it.
And then the shot on 18 to seal the deal, right?
Yeah, that's right, absolutely.
Oh man,
because that one on 18,
that was an aggressive line.
Oh yeah, he was about 3 or 4 oscillations from that ball going in the hole on the second playoff hole.
Oh, I know. I thought it was going in.
Everybody was back there
we were talking about something today too. Cantley kind of affected that thing with slow play again today.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did.
That was about almost 10 minutes. How long was that he sit there trying to figure out what he was going to do on 14?
Oh, it was a long time. So, funny part about that,
Spieth was just pacing.
How you think Fitzpatrick felt? That dude
Oh.
plays super fast.
The funny part about that is the marshals on 14 at the tee box. When Fleetwood's group was still on the green, the marshals were holding up everybody from Fleetwood's group that was following them and then Jordan's group. So you had like two groups of gallery that were waiting to go, and everybody's like, they're still on the green. Can we go, please, and stuff? And then everybody was kind of getting mad at Cantley because they were like, come on, please hurry up and hit so we can get down there and watch them.
And they don't much like him anyway. I mean, like he's the heel. They don't have any use for him anyway. So I'm sure they were giving him the business out there because they're usually pretty rowdy out that part of the course.
How many people are going to hit that shot now? Everybody's going to walk over there and set that ball right there and try to hit that shot.
Try to fade it in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They're going to set that ball right there on that. It was right between the railroad tie and the bulkhead.
Oh, that one. Yeah.
Couldn't have set better. I mean, the chances of that thing, you could have rolled 1,000 golf balls and never got that thing to do that.
Alice Dye and her damn railroad ties.
It came from Prestwick. They went to Scotland and played. And she saw them over there at Prestwick, and that's where they brought it back from.
All right. But no, we've seen some funky things with the bulkhead over the years, but this one, not usually in the final group on Sunday where it comes into play. But that's always an interesting scenario at 14. You see some wild stuff at 14. Just weird and wild stuff.
It seems to always have its place in defining the tournament over these last few years. And I was going to say 14, it took another victim. I meant to tweet that. I never got around to it, but most of the time somebody's going to get screwed over there on 14 and end up, dropping retention or spiraling from it. But Cantlay has been on the wrong end of the stick for some of those instances recently, although he did make the playoff. He did get to that playoff last year. But, it just seems like that hole – it's always been one of the toughest in the course, especially on Sunday, and it defines, the champion from those who just come up short. But it's one of my favorite holes. Just such a complex par 3 risk reward. Pete Dye, he did a great job. Designed just for so much drama. Like these last few holes on the course. 17, you can make the case for. As well as 18, just the scenic and complex finishing holes, which make Harbor Town such an amazing venue for a high stakes tournament like this. But it was a great week and a Sunday to remember for sure. And I was going to mention if that second shot went in, you'd be seeing replays from that next 10, 15, 20 years on CBS Sports if Fitzpatrick could.
You get a plaque for one of those out in the fairway. Yeah. That's like Robert Gomez. You play Bay Hill, you walk right by that plaque.
Yep.
And, didn't 4 play the hardest this week?
That's a great question. We could almost certainly.
You can check that one for you.
I'm pretty sure 4.
They said this morning that about the first 3 rounds they had 12 balls in the water, and then by the time Tony Finau's group got there was already 7 in the water just today.
4, they got all 4 par. I'm pretty sure now. I'm not sure 17 can, but the other 3 can all play over 200 yards now.
Hole by hole. 4, you're right. 4 was the hardest hole today on Sunday. Even beating out 14, 0.4 strokes given up to the course. 14 was second with 0.36, and then you got the 11th hole, the par 4, and the easiest hole.
That was a tough end today.
Yeah, the easiest hole, of course, being a par 5, 5th, which either number 2 or number 5 most of the time, and 15. But those holes overlooking the water, those par 3s.
4 was 3 paces on from that water. I mean, it looked like it was in the water from the tee. I was like, how do you stop it? There's no, and that's 208-yard shot. How do you stop it back there?
It's a really brutal shot, regardless. But when they put it right there, Yeah, they had 9 doubles or worse, right? Oof.
And
Yes.
3 was tough today too.
Somebody made a birdie on that sucker though.
Fitzpatrick had he hit one way right on 3. I thought that was where he was kind of. I was like, oh man, this isn't good. You know, I mean, he was kind of. He made a great shot on that. He made a great shot on 5.
Hey, he had the hole out eagle, which ended up being the difference, I guess you could say, on that 3rd hole on Saturday.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, you're stealing shots. 3 and 4. You get to 3 and 4. It can. I mean, because you're pretty much gonna make birdie on 2. You're pretty much gonna make birdie on 5.
Yeah.
And then they're turning. Did y'all see all the drivers they were hitting off 1? Everybody hit driver off 1. It seemed like.
Really?
And a lot of drivers off 1. A lot of drivers.
Hasn't usually been the case.
I know a lot of drivers off 1. Saw a lot of drivers off 3. And a few more drivers off 6 than you usually. But a lot, 6 is turning into,
almost like 9. They're just going to bomb it down there, and whatever happens.
They're playing 6 different than they used to.
Yeah, they've just to hell with risk reward. We're just going to smash it down there and see what happens.
It's
a great hole.
By being out there a good bit, that's the best greens complex out there.
It's so good.
And that green is phenomenal. And
I could sit out there. I could sit out there under the trees. It's like just walk back and forth and watch approaches and putts on that green for hours. It's so much fun.
There's a lot of subtle break in that green, and then but 8. They just wear 8 out now. I mean, 8,
it still plays pretty tough. It still played plus 0.11 today. Yeah. It was still one of the tougher holes. Like on Friday, it was the hardest hole.
I think they're talking about kind of even bringing that rough back a little bit more, back out there right at 3.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not 310, but maybe 295, 300 to where you can kind of drive it through the fairway. I thought the rough added a little bit to it this week. I thought that was good. You got a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. A little more penal when you're when you're offline. Well, we have another guest joining us. The more the merrier, right? So our guy Carlo Peruzzo, former Loco intern, and he is a big golf guy, a big memorabilia and autograph guy like you, Brady. So you guys might have to compare treasures. But Brady's got a good one. How about you reveal for us, Brady, what your biggest treasure of the day?
Well, after Matthew Fitzpatrick got done with his pictures on 18, he was headed back to the clubhouse to finally sign his scorecard, and his caddy tossed me his golf ball.
Yeah. Nice. We don't know if it's the golf ball, but it's a Matthew Fitzpatrick golf ball. So, good enough. Good enough for government work.
Hey, I mean, you can tell it was his ball. You can sell it to your kids,
and they see the mark. You can see the MW on or the MF on there. Yeah, because he's the MF of the Heritage this year. Carlo, what's up, buddy? You enjoy your time out at the Heritage, and what kind of treasures did you come away with?
Absolutely. I've been coming to this event for years and years now, but it was cool to finally see something that was elevated. It's pretty cool. I think the tour, what they're doing now, because of some rivalry organizations, they've had to make some changes, and it's really worked out. I think the game's in its best place right now as it ever was, and they had to make some changes, and one of them is having these elevated money events, and we were fortunate enough to have one here on the island. And, unfortunately with Rory McIlroy, that was a little disappointing.
Yeah.
But he's going to lose out a little bit on his bonus, so it's going to hurt him in the long run. But we still got a great field. I mean, you got Rombo and Chef and Coleman, Cantley and Shaw. I mean, we can go on. We can do this for 30 minutes.
Everybody. I mean, everybody else.
Game's
Everybody
on
but yeah, McIlroy, Zalatoris, and Cam. And
I'm hearing every 3 years on the elevated events.
Really? Going to rotate it every 3 years?
Next year, they're going to set whatever the 8 elevated events are, whatever it is for next year. It's going to be the
There's
same.
17.
There's also going to be
right?
a smaller field, no cuts, what I heard.
Isn't there 17?
Right. I don't know.
I think right now there's 13, but that's including the 3 for the FedEx Cup playoffs, the 4 the majors, and then there's I think it was 7 or 8 of just the traditional events that are deemed elevated now.
So will those be rotated, or will those be?
So what I've been hearing.
Did you know you were going to be the PGA Tour expert, Carlo Peruzza?
Oh, I've done my homework on this. So what I've heard, guys like John Rahm have been complaining that with this year, it's hard for them to make their schedule. So one of the things that they wanted was a set thing. So they're thinking tour. The rumor is that whatever the elevated events are next year is going to be that for 8 years.
Oh.
Which I think is perfect, because I think these boys need to have a set schedule going into it so they can plan vacation or they can do whatever before the season starts. And if we're lucky enough, I know they're losing the match play event that Sam Burns won a couple of weeks ago. That's no longer going to be existent. So that one's going off. And, Muirfield's probably going to be elevated. The Players is always going to be elevated. I would hope Harbortown would be too, but
Bay Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope Harbortown's on that list, and certainly the showing that it gave this week definitely won't hurt things. I mean, I'd love to know what the ratings were, compared to
The rating
previous years. Yeah, they had to be better. I mean, you had a really spectacular field on Sunday, and man, it looks so good on TV too. Like, I was just looking at that shot over the 18th green into Calabogie Sound and going, oh, now I finally understand. Like, I'm old enough and have enough perspective to understand the value of that shot going into so many millions of homes on Sunday afternoon for so many years. It's just spectacular.
How about Fraser having the foresight to give them that land?
Yeah, the CBS broadcasts every year, they have stepped up in terms of just the camera work and their overall coverage of the tournaments. And we saw
drones have made a difference.
Oh yeah, so it's so good now. I couldn't hardly pull myself away to I couldn't bear the thought of spending an hour driving down there when I could be watching every shot on TV the way they have it now. But Carlo, you've been to several events this year. You've been down to McGladrey and or RSM, whatever it's called now, down at Sea Island. You went down to the Players. You've been to quite a few spots. How the atmosphere at the Heritage this weekend compared to the other places you've been this year?
I would say they're all different in ways. You have RSM. That one is very chill. Obviously, not say that's not a good tournament, but the field's weak compared to what we saw here today.
Yeah.
Most of those guys down there, it's during the off season, so it's a very relaxed atmosphere. Some of the nicest people in the world down there, those volunteers and stuff down there, are incredibly nice. If you guys haven't done it before, would definitely make the ride to Brunswick for that. It's a great experience, and Wednesday's free, so you can't beat that. The Players, I love the Players. That's a different event. That's got a major feel to it. It's unofficial 5th major. That course there, Harbortown's a beautiful course. They do a wonderful job with it, but you can't replicate TPC Sawgrass. When you come in, the first thing, the gates open 7:30 in the morning. You come in, and the first thing you see is that par 3, number 17, and you're just ready. You're like, wow.
It's one of those bucket list courses. That Augusta is one of them, of course, but Sawgrass is, it's right up there too, especially the way it sets up for you can just stand around.
Yeah.
They call it the stadium course for a reason. Yeah.
It was the first stadium course.
Yep. Yeah.
And then you have this event, obviously, Steve Wilmot jokes about it, but he calls it the adult spring break. And that's really what this week is. The boys are coming off of playing at Augusta. Everyone's going to watch their P's and Q's there. And then you come to some place like this, like Sea Pines and Hilton Head, where you can bring the family. They all rent out houses. Actually, it was funny. I was in Publix on Monday, and I'm checking out, and behind me is Shane Lowry, and he's got boogie boards with them. He's buying these boogie boards, and the lady's like, "Sir, we're actually doing buy two, get one free." So he sent his wife to get another boogie board. He's going to take his kids to the ocean. So I thought that was pretty funny. But
yeah, you sent me a picture with him, and then you ran into Scheffler out too, right?
I was walking up to go to the Publix right beside the Walgreens beside it, and I looked over to my right, and Scotty Scheffler and his wife is just coming right at me. I'm like, what in the world is this?
It is a unique.
Honestly, his wife is so friendly. She's like, "Where did you get that hat? Were you at the Players last month?" I was like, "I was." And she's like, "Oh, I want one of those. I couldn't find them at the store." And they were pretty cool. But
you had a chance right there, man. You could have made a pretty penny off that hat.
Oh, it's okay. Justin, I always carry golf balls with me around Heritage Week. So
I saw some of Scotty's siblings on Saturday. Very, very nice. They're great people. It's cool to get those relationships with those guys who have traveled with these pro golfers and have so much knowledge, and it's cool that they enjoy to interact with the locals and some people around here. So that's kind of cool. But you've been to a lot of editions of this tournament, I'm sure now, Carlo. How does this one rank compared to what you've seen over the history of this tournament? And this feels like one that we'll be remembering for a long time.
I mean, besides the 2020 when Webb Simpson won with no fans. I mean, this was the best field in Heritage history. Obviously, in 2020, you had the guys from Live, so the field might have been a little better, and you had Rory and those guys. But I mean, you can't replicate an event like this. I mean, look at the leaderboard tonight. 4 or 5 holes left. You had 4 top 10 guys up there. Yeah. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, Shoffley slid in late.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he was one more putt dropping from being a problem for somebody. He was going to put some heat on if he got in the house at 16, but couldn't get that last one to drop. He had a great run at the end. But no, I mean, yeah, we always go back to Wilmot's old adage about the 2 things you can't control are the weather and the leaderboard. And the weather turned out to be not a problem at all. I mean, it was spectacular. And the leaderboard couldn't have been better. I mean, it was really awesome. So fantastic finish. Jones, did you see some of those rowdy people out there? I know they started getting. You smiled at the adult spring break thing. I know when the leaders got to 16, they actually, some of those hooting and hollering folks were yelling in Jordan's backswing. It looked like, and he kind of blocked that tee shot right. I don't know if that impacted him or not, but they were definitely yelling early.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, especially once you got around 18, 17, 18. That's where it got pretty loud.
I don't know how it's got to be tough to focus in that environment, because I've been around 18 sometimes when the people in the skyboxes are just obnoxious and totally oblivious to the fact that there's a championship golf tournament happening right there.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe compared to the the formality, the history of the patrons of the Augusta. It's a different vibe.
Yeah.
It's cool to see.
Well, I think they're kind of getting used to it too. There's a
I mean, I think it goes with the territory. You want to do the Netflix documentary and stuff, like it kind of you're kind of the NASCARification of PGA Tour almost.
Well, I don't think you'll ever see Scottsdale, but I think you'll I think they found a happy little median there in between.
Yeah,
you're referring
to. I
to
don't think you'll see any live music being played anytime soon.
You're have walk-up songs when you're going.
Walk-up songs in your shorts and your team jerseys.
I must say, I was at the Live Orlando event 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I must say there's a difference. I mean, you have obviously the golf. I mean, the PGA Tour's got a much better field. There's no doubt about it. There's nothing to even debate that. But from a spectacle, what Live Golf is doing is absolutely insane. Before they
it's like WWE golf.
A guy jumps out of a plane in parachutes and lands on the first tee box before they even start. Then on each of the holes, they have this music just blasting. I mean, I watched Phil Mickelson make a birdie putt with all these explicitives just going. They don't care. I mean, these people, Greg Norman and Live Golf, don't care. You could get away with whatever you want in there. But it's just, the game of golf, obviously it's a historical game. It's been around for many generations. But just with anything, you have to evolve and adapt. And I mean, just any product, any industry, the key to success is evolving. Now, I wouldn't say that they're involving the game at all, but they're appealing more to a younger audience.
Yep.
And that's obviously what we need. As the game gets older, the people who are going to start watching it more and more.
I think what Major League Baseball is doing the exact same thing with the pitch clock. Look how quickly games are being played now. Just had a sub 2-hour Red Sox game today.
Now, I don't think the tour will ever do music, but the fact, like I mentioned earlier, that they are doing these more elevated events, and next year going to have some no cuts. The game really needed this because look at all the elevated events this year. You have Riv, you had Scottsdale, Players, Bay Hill here. Look at these leaderboards on Sunday. I mean, it's incredible.
Yeah,
it's awesome. Much like the pitch clock, I think it's working.
I still think you're going to see less than more as they go forward. I think they got, it's almost like they got a couple too many of them. I mean, what if they had 7 or 10? Something along those lines. They bit off a lot. Yeah. I think you're going to, I mean, you might get through this first little thing, but these boys making a pile of money. I mean, we talk about the money and everything, but shit. They make plenty of money. They're gonna. You're gonna. I mean, this is.
There is a number where you're like, nah, I'm good.
It's a lot more. This ain't the. This is a heavy schedule. They've got a heavy schedule going.
Yeah, it's a grind. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they'll have to pare it back a little bit. I think the feedback will be it was a little too much. I think that's probably.
I think they had to do it here for this 3-year span to kind of fend those guys off.
Yeah, appease the masses. Well, guys, let's take a quick break and hear from some sponsors and anybody who wants to hang around and talk more about the Heritage and apparently just golf in general. Hang out, and we'll be back after about 4 minutes here on the LowcoSports and LowcoGolf RBC Heritage Final Round Recap. Hey, Loco Sports fans, this podcast and all of our grassroots local sports content are made possible by support from community sponsors, including Mickelson Law Firm, the official real estate attorneys of LowcoSports, and the presenting sponsor of our Hilton Head Christian Academy coverage. Our original sponsors are still among our greatest supporters. Ryan and Tiffany Mickelson are community pillars who will be in your corner no matter your legal needs. When you need legal representation, call on the attorneys who support Team Lowco. Call Mickelson Law Firm. Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, the official hospice provider of LowcoSports, and the only not-for-profit hospice in southern Beaufort County. For more than 30 years, the committed, compassionate staff at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry have been there to ensure your loved ones find comfort, honor, and dignity at the end of life. Because at Hospice Care of the Lowcountry, it's not about dying, it's about living. Homegrown Home Inspections, the official home inspectors of LowcoSports. Jan Lucas and his team provide thorough, detailed home inspections aimed to ensure everyone goes into the transaction with open eyes and confidence. Jan would rather reveal an inconvenient truth than look the other way and provide reassurances that could come back to burn the buyer in the long run. If you're looking to buy or sell a home and need an honest, reliable inspector, call on Homegrown Home Inspections, official sponsors of LowcoSports. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of LowcoSports. If your business or organization has a website and you're trying to figure out what SEO is, you need to call on Denise and Dave Sinkovich at DDS Web Design. They'll provide a free consultation and do all the behind-the-scenes work to boost your search engine optimization and get your website found online so you can take your business to the next level. DDS Web Design, official SEO experts of LowcoSports. American Wood Reface, sustaining sponsors of LowcoSports. Does your kitchen need a facelift? Before you start picking out new cabinets, give Ben and the team at American Wood Reface a shot. They can reface your existing cabinets to overhaul your aesthetic without the hefty price tag and reimagine your kitchen at a price point you can manage. Be sure to tell them Loco sent you because every referral helps support LowcoSports. 4M Metals, sustaining sponsor of LowcoSports. Got metal? Your roof might need it. Metal roofing advantages include better energy efficiency, weather protection, longevity, a more aesthetically pleasing design, and the product is all green. So if you've been thinking about a new roof, go metal. Let 4M Metals be the difference in your roof. Jay's Barbershop. It's the talk of the town and the place to be in Ridgeland. If you need your ears lowered, head over to Jay's for a fresh cut and great conversation with good folks. And tell them Loco sent you. Local Pie, official pizza sponsor of LowcoSports. They sling some of the best pies in the Loco, and my kids say the mac and cheese is the best around. Hungry? Hit up Local Pie, longtime supporter of LowcoSports. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry, the official floor cleaners of LowcoSports.com. If your feet tell you your floors need cleaning, call on Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. They provide residential and commercial services, including cleaning carpet and area rugs, tile and grout, upholstery, curtains and drapes, mattresses, and more. But most importantly, they'll get those floors so clean, your feet will thank them. Barefoot Floor Care of the Lowcountry. Hilton Head Prep is a sustaining sponsor of LowcoSports. And we tell you all about the Dolphins' athletic exploits. But did you know it's also the #1 ranked private K-12 school in Beaufort County and ranks in the top 2.5% of schools nationwide? Visit hhprep.org to see what Hilton Head Prep has to offer. Beaufort Academy is a sustaining sponsor of LowcoSports, and we love covering the Eagles. With a student-to-faculty ratio of 7-to-1 and an average class size of 14 students, Beaufort Academy could be just the educational solution you're looking for, with more one-on-one attention. BA has a strong history of working with the whole child to prepare each student for college and life. Check them out at BeaufortAcademy.org. Thank you to all of our sustaining and supporting sponsors for their support of LowcoSports.com. Go Loco! Hey, everybody made it back from the break, so nobody abandoned us here on the LowcoSports LowcoGolf RBC Heritage final round recap for 2023. And I got to admit, guys, I am absolutely toast after 3 baseball games today. So I don't know what else we need to talk about, but Wes, do you want to take anything you want to take us inside the numbers on? Or,
Yeah, let's transition there because you look at this final round and Matt Fitzpatrick, he certainly battled nice numbers in the strokes game and approach shots, 1.93, 2.74 in shots gained tee to green. I thought he did a good job of weathering the storm. Obviously, he started out in the lead, a very slim lead at that, and certainly dipped a little bit midway through this round, but very consistent in the back nine, and then really found his stroke late to find a way to force that playoff. But really terrific battle between those two. And how about Sahith Theegala putting up a nice round there at a 65, 6 under 65, and he was a couple putts away from getting himself in contention. So I think he's a budding star on tour. I really like what I've seen from him. And you mentioned Xander Schauffele nearly find a way back himself. Sungjae Im had a very nice final round as well, and with some impressive totals there in a couple of different areas. His putter was excellent today. He was great off the tee. But I think when you look at this tournament as a whole, in a playoff, there's the margin for error is so thin. And it's just tough to see for Jordan Spieth when he had a couple of chances to end it with his putter. And I think that's kind of what let him down for a couple parts of this final round. But his approach game, 2.6 shots gained approach, just outstanding. One of the best rounds I have seen in terms of approach shots at this RBC Heritage. Absolutely dialed in on his second shot on those par fours especially. And man, I mean, just his ability to shape his shots in a very difficult course where you really have to be on top of your game. He wasn't as great off the tee, but he was able to make some adjustments when he needed to and just deliver some immaculate approach shots. And his putting was solid for the most part. He took advantage of the good looks that he had. Made that big putt in 18 to help put himself in that playoff. And of course, I mean, those last two, they were the very last one was a long way out when he ended up losing in that third playoff hole. But the first two just slipped out, very, very close to following, which would have given him the tartan jacket and the back-to-back championship win. here at the Heritage. But yeah, and speaking of another name that impressed today, Matthew Boysenhoit from South Africa with a 7 under, 4.71 strokes gained putting, so he finished off with a really nice round. But you look at the event in total with some of these numbers in strokes gained. Spieth, Fitzpatrick right there. Spieth 3.45. Actually, both of them tied at 3.45. So very fittingly, we saw some excellent golf from both of those two. Very similar in stroke gains. Their approach shot. The difference with Spieth was his putting was a little better throughout the tournament, and tee to green and around the greens were a little bit higher for Fitzpatrick. But all in all, two very strong performances. And we knew Spieth would come out here and play some good golf. Fitzpatrick was someone who was on track to win this thing several different times. We kept saying these last 2-3 years he was due to win this tournament. Finally came true here in 2023, and just really cool full circle moment there at the end for Fitzpatrick. But yeah,
and now I guess Cantlay becomes the new Fitzpatrick, the inevitable, right? Because he's got 6 starts, 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s. So it feels pretty inevitable that he's going to win here.
Yeah, I think he's right on the doorstep. I think the putting, I thought was going to be a little better from him in this event, as well as the approach game wasn't as solid as we saw in a couple different events, including last year. So obviously, I think he's very close to be right there, even not having maybe his best stuff. And it just speaks to his elite play, and then just the consistency is going to follow next. And I'm sure he'll come back re-energized, and he'll be one of the favorites for sure in 2024. But really cool to see Sahith Theegala play. Like I said, brilliant tournament from him. I mean, strokes gained, he was 6th overall in the field, and his putting was excellent. His short game was fantastic. So an up-and-coming star who I'd like to see him, do some big things on tour.
Better get used to him too, because he's the new RBC guy.
Yep.
Oh, is he? Oh, good deal. I like that.
Another thing. This year with the new RBC spokesman, obviously they lost a couple with the guys going to the other tour, but you have Sahith Theegala, you have Sam Burns. Sam Burns, one of the most underrated players on the tour right
Cameron
now.
Young.
You have Cameron Young. You have my boy Corey Connors.
By the way, Cameron Young, shout out to him for donating $25,000 to the Heritage Classic Foundation for some kind of junior program. Yeah, there's something associated with the first tee. So very cool thing there. But yeah, your boy Corey Connors, he's another guy that we feel like is like he's bound to break through and win here one of these years. He's always in contention.
I think another guy, he didn't really show that well this week, but JT Poston. That's a guy. It's coming for JT. I mean, he plays so well at Harbortown. Bit of a disappointment though this week for him. I don't think he even made the cut. But
he's a North Carolina boy. He likes it down here.
Oh yeah, he lives in Sea Island right now.
And he's a Congreve ambassador, I believe, right? He was the special guest. He does not care if you picked him in DraftKings, though. He does not care. I asked him, and he doesn't care what his salary is. Doesn't matter.
He's Catamount. He's a Western Carolina guy.
Oh yeah, Catamount. Kaloe. Is that how you say it? Kaloe. Yeah, that's way out there in the boonies out there. Jones, any other thoughts from the final round that stood out to you, or guys, you're way too early pick to win the Heritage next year?
I mean, I agree with definitely the Cantlay thing, just because he's played so well here in the past. I agree with Corey Connors. He plays well here. One guy I noticed he always plays well here is Kuchar.
Yep.
I think he could be a pretty good pick, or way too early to finish, definitely top 5, but he could break through next year.
I don't know if he's going to be healthy. He's won here, right? He did.
He won back in 14. I believe it was 14.
Hey, what we do today?
That was the tournament winning bunker shot, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right. And Cooch could be like the next Stuart Sink, who wins here many years later. L shot 2 over today. He finished 2 under for the tournament, which is amazing.
I watched him hit on 7. He has such a smooth golf swing.
Oh
He's
man,
still hitting it pretty high up in that net for an old guy at the range.
I still can't believe he didn't ever win here. I mean,
How
he
about Brian Harmon
had
getting
it
a
in
top
his
10?
grasp. Absolutely,
Man, boy.
that was good stuff.
I think a guy that you got to watch for out here the future, Sun J M. I mean, he plays this
Absolutely.
so well. I mean, he is a wonderful player. I think wouldn't be surprised if he puts on a plaid jacket.
Did anybody see that toe puff shank he hit on 18? You want to talk about a shot that I didn't see coming. You know, that's top 5 iron player on tour. That guy, that was the worst shot by far of the day. I mean, you think he's going to stiff it right there, you know? And I mean, that thing almost missed the approach. I mean, he missed it 30 yards right.
Oh man.
I mean, Sanjay, man, that guy, that dude can. That is a, you know, it's a short list of guys that hit irons better than that guy.
Yep.
And he had just a stock 9-iron or something in there, and I mean, about hit it in the stands.
Happens to the best of us, right?
Yeah.
I've hit a power fade off of them condos before, aiming for the widest fairway on the PGA Tour.
Out of bounds and condos on the right.
You know, I think another guy that we really haven't talked about much, obviously, #1 golfer in the world, John Rahm.
Rambo? Yeah.
He didn't fare too well the first day. Obviously, you know, he was in that afternoon pairing that they had that weather delay, had to go through bad weather, and things didn't go well for him. But, I mean, he shot +1, and he ended 11 under, tied 15.
Yeah.
I mean, right there, if he had even a -3, -4 first round.
It was a really impressive performance.
And, you know, especially right after winning the Masters. I mean, to have that composure after that emotional high to come back. And obviously the first day was expected to regain yourself, and just so mentally and physically tired after all that you've been through. I mean, and his commitment to, you know, honoring that commitment to play in this tournament. He's a special guy. I got to see him. I followed in the morning when he went out around the front and behind, and you know, it's cool to see the fans close to him when he hit his shot to the left on 6 in that sandy area. And you know, he was telling the fans step 5 steps back and all that. And you know, it's cool to see the interactions with him. The fans love him. He's a favorite on the tour now, especially when you win the Masters. It happens pretty much anybody, but John Rahm, he was a good guy. But of course, he won a major. He won the U.S. Open before that, so he's been a known name for a while now. And just great to see him honor that commitment and play this tournament. And, you know, to see these fans, you know, so hyped and happy to see him play. That's what it's all about. And speaking of that, my overheard at the Heritage quote of the day was when I saw Rahm hit that shot. Can you imagine if there were 400 people watching hit a golf ball and some bleep talking about sandwiches?
Well, he spent probably 30 minutes on TV after his round.
Yeah.
As like a guest, and he was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's terrific. Yeah, I mean, let's face it, he could have easily mailed it in on Friday after what he shot 1 over on Thursday. He could have just mailed it in on Friday and kicked off for the weekend and gone to an island somewhere else, some other island. But he grounded it out. He grinded it out all week and finishes top 15. And then, like you said, goes in the booth for half an hour instead of going to get on a plane.
Phenomenal. You know how you put a bow on this whole thing the whole week? If Wilmot could have wrote a script, I'm not sure this ain't how he writes it.
Right.
You know,
Spieth's right there
Spieth
again.
In the middle of it, you got the kid that spent his childhood here. You got a 3-hole playoff.
Yeah.
Playing $20 million. You know,
you moved up the tee times to accommodate weather that didn't happen, so you've got a longer window for the playoff to play out on TV. Yep. I mean, everything it was.
You know, I found out something about that too today. They were worried more about the morning.
Really?
Than the afternoon. That's why the threesomes gave them later start times. They were really worried about an early morning, something slowing them down early, because it rained pretty good down there this morning.
Yeah.
And early. but that gave them because I had never seen them do threesomes off one side. Normally if they go to threesomes, they do 1 and 10, but they wanted some the what they were saying. The tour guy was saying this morning was they wanted an extra, whatever 45, 50 minutes they got.
Gotcha. Well, it all worked out like you hope it does. I mean, and I'll tell you, more often than not, like we said last night, the tour folks have incredibly up-to-date and accurate weather information. Their logistics folks are just unbelievable at the way they're able to pivot on the fly with an event of that magnitude and with so many factors that can take it off track. And they're always cool as can be about it. Like Slugger White or whoever it is now, like whatever person's on the radio out there, like they've always got it on lockdown and under control. And it's really impressive. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that I take away from my time covering this event is just seeing the machine that it is, the number of people that it takes, and then seeing them come into Congaree and do the same thing. Just the PGA Tour traveling circus is really something to behold. And I guess it's not quite as much a circus as Live, but still the folks who do it week to week, and then the folks who do it on site,
and all the volunteers,
specific events are amazing.
Volunteers, the grand marshals, the students who were working behind the scenes to do different things throughout the event, make sure everything runs smoothly. It takes a village, and everybody did their job to perfection. What a beautifully well run tournament, and there's no wonder why these players keep wanting to come back. They love the course, but they also love the atmosphere, the service that they get here at the event. It's a world-class tournament, and international people know that, domestic people know that. It is continually becoming one of the most favorite spots on tour for the golfing world.
Yeah, no question. All right, fellas. Well, we've passed an hour, so I think we can call it a tournament week. Thanks so much for jumping on with us. It was fun talking with you. And Brady and Jones, congratulations on your success so far, and best of luck the rest of the way. We got lower state qualifying coming up pretty soon, or where are we at?
Yeah, so region championship will be 2 weeks from tomorrow at Shipyard.
All right, and then we go from there to lower state. And where's lower state and state this year?
Lower state is in Florence, and then state will be at the River Club in North Augusta.
All right, very good.
Both good.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we'll look forward to hearing from you, seeing how you do there, and we'll definitely have to catch up with you a little bit later on in the season. But thanks so much, guys, for jumping on with this. Thanks so much to our sponsors, and thanks most of all to those of you who hung out with us to listen or watch. Until next time, and until next year's Heritage, go Loco.
That was good.